Hello, this is Dale Matthews. I'm joined tonight by Keith Hick on, in a still picture, and Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hey Dale. Yes, vote smart. That's my sentiments exactly.
You know, it is that all started with this idea. For me, it started with this idea from Cheryl Walker when she was trying to push her junk ordinances, that she didn't want a voter's pamphlet. That it was a horrible idea. And even Simon Harris said, no, wait a minute. What if the people came in and they paid, like, I think he said $10,000 to have some kind of voter's pamphlet? No, I still don't want that. Why would you not want a voter's pamphlet? Because it goes against this. If you have a voter's pamphlet,
Yeah.
you're going to vote smart.
Because it contains information.
It does. It does.
Yes. We must listen. We must do what is right for you, whether you know it's right or not. You so stupid. I'm so sorry that you're so dumb, but I'm going to have to sneak this one in on you.
Yeah, basically. Well, what the Grants Pass City Council has done is that they've passed things, and they never took it to the voters at all. They just put it on your water bill. What a wonderful circumstance. Government knows best, you know. Okay. Or what they'll do is they'll shout you down. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, you don't understand economic development, Mr. Matthews. Okay, I guess I don't, at least not. But we've gotten some lessons about what the commissioners think is economic development in our area. I wonder how it's going with all those jobs for that plaque on a rock.
Yeah, it's a bunch of hooey.
It is that, right. So what we try to do, our raison d'etre, is to see that you have information, and we do try to present it from both sides, but we also have our opinions. We tell you those, and don't watch if you don't like the opinions. That's okay.
We better take a couple of minute pause because people just left the room to go find their dictionary.
Go, man. They're going to need a French dictionary. Okay.
Yes.
It's the reason to, it's our reason to exist. That's why we're here, is to try to pass along some information, because you're sure as heck not getting most of it from the Daily Courier. You're getting absolutely zero from KJO. And then from some places like that sneaky advertiser thing, it's like the opposite of the facts. So that's always nice. So it really, for me, a lot of this started with the idea that Cheryl Walker was dead set against having a voter's pamphlet. And she was fit to be tied when the citizens got up and kept saying, I think that we need one. I think that we really need one. And she wasn't happy with that at all. But, well, those are the breaks. We ended up with the voter's pamphlet. Now, there's a rumor, we don't know if this is true, that the city council may insist that there not be a voter's pamphlet that would lead up to this vote on the sales tax. Mike, tell them a little bit about the sales tax and what it looks like at the moment, would you please?
Well, the proposal is 2% on everything but unprepared foods. I made the mistake of telling people it was everything except prepared foods.
Yeah, that's nice.
Good. I'll eat at Taco Bell every night, Right. No. Everything except unprepared foods, and it then applies to everything at $1,000 or less. Or it applies to things that are over $1,000, but you only get taxed on $1,000. So your maximum impact for $1,000 purchase is going to be $20.
So that means that if you want to buy your Cocoa Puffs, you would have to pay extra for it. And this is why I say,
I don't know about that, Dale. I think that is classified as I think it's classified as food. Prepared food is restaurant, like it's served to you.
I think
if you go in a grocery store and you go to the deli and they make you a sandwich or hand you a bowl of soup, that's prepared food, and you're going to pay tax on that.
Well, we're going to find out. But
Cocoa Puffs, you're not going to pay for that. Now, I don't agree that it's food, but many people would agree that Cocoa Puffs are food.
I think if we end up with taxes on that, it's just going to increase the incidence of, wait for it, serial robberies.
Yes.
Okay. So, one of the things that we've been noticing that's just fascinating to me, and this is where I got into a bit of a tussle with Harry Mackin, is that they had a meeting of the Republican Central Committee. I'm not a Republican, neither is Mike, as you know. We're not Democrats. either. I'm so glad. And the general idea there was that they took a vote. They took a vote, and Harry Mackin and some of his pals lost the vote. And then two of the Central Committee members told me that Harry Mackin and a couple of the others kind of threw a little bit of a fit and said that they were considering working to pull funding from the paying the rent for the Republican headquarters. Really? Now, what country do we live in? You don't like the result of the vote, so you not only take your ball home, you take the whole building home? Really? So I said something at a meeting of the county commissioners. Now, we've since got three sources. These are people that are sitting like 18 inches away from Harry Mackin. And he didn't like that. And one of his relatives really didn't like that. And it's like been death on Dale Matthews since that time. I said to somebody, what's up? Why is she reacting this way? And this is over the top. Oh, yeah. You said something about Harry. Well, so what? I mean, it's politics. I mean, so either he did or he didn't. Well, I didn't, Dale Matthews. I said, your argument is really with these other Central Committee members who said this. She wanted to know their names. I wanted their names, their addresses, the names of their children, and everything. I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's an exaggeration. But I mean, she's like death on this. So now every time I go somewhere or I appear somewhere, or I say something, it's like, you're the devil incarnate. Hey, relax. And we saw some of this in the fight about the levy as well. Mike, tell them the story about the people who were invited to make a presentation to, once again, nothing wrong with these guys in general, the Republican Central Committee. What happened to them?
Well, I mean, that's more your story than mine. I wasn't there. You were. This was a situation where, well, maybe you weren't even there. You weren't even there either. No, that was Bill Hunker and Joseph Rice. And
so we have, for this one, we have four sources. Okay, hopefully that's enough.
Not enough. No, listen, we know this happened, and they came to do the presentation, showing the Republican Central Committee people the statistics, the crime statistics for the county, to educate them a little bit on the counter to the levy proponents' pitch. And so during this presentation, they were getting heckled by a couple of people there in the audience, and essentially shouted down. They wanted them to stop the presentation.
They were invited guests. They were invited to make the presentation.
Yes. And this is listen, I met a guy last night. Probably nice enough guy, but we found a point of disagreement, and the guy got right in my face. And
he grabbed your microphone.
No, you're thinking of somebody else. This is another person that I'm talking about. And the guy was so angry and, adamantly opposed getting in my face that I thought, wow, there's some people that just will not tolerate. You must toe the line. If you don't toe this particular line right here, if you don't hold this opinion, I'm going to shout you down. I'm going to make sure that your ability to speak is hampered as much as possible. And, some people are just like that.
I'm going to steal your signs. I'm going to shout you down when you're invited to a meeting. We're going to take a vote, and I'm going to negate the vote afterwards. I don't care what anybody said. This is what happened with Alan Kobrick. The Republican Central Committee, once again, is there any activity going on in any other political party in the area? And they voted to oppose the levy. And they say we're fiscal conservatives. We don't like this levy, but we're in favor of law enforcement. Okay, go figure. And they put signs up in the window saying the Republican Central Committee says this. Well, once those signs were put up and like everybody goes home, Alan Kobrick took the signs out and called the radio station and said, I want you to stop running the ads. Alan, you don't have the ability to do that, bud. I mean, and so they reversed all that on this guy, basically reversed it. But I haven't ever seen anything like this.
Imagine the hubris of somebody.
Now they're going to need their dictionary again. Nice.
To inject themselves into that, to the point where, listen, that's other people's money that's paying for those radio commercials. And yet you presume that you can make a phone call and stop that. And what is your reason for stopping that? Are you for the levy? Is that the reason why you're wanting to stop it? Or are you such a wuss that you don't want anybody to think that the Republicans are actually against it? Well, listen, if you live in town, you live amongst a bunch of people who vote for levies. That's what they do. Anytime you get in an area where you have a bunch of concentrated people, they all vote for this kind of stuff. I don't know what it's a mass hysteria or something.
What's your real opinion?
Yes, but the problem is that they start thinking that everyone else around them is going to judge them as being some sort of a Neanderthal if they don't vote for the thing that the in crowd finds acceptable. Well, and this guy presumed to be the arbiter of what was right and wrong for people who had voted on what was what they found acceptable as it relates to this levy, and then he starts making phone calls on their behalf. Who the hell are you?
Yeah, this is what started the thing with Harry Mackin and Diane Mackin. This idea that you could really take a vote that's been taken. This is America, right? And you lose the vote. That's going to happen from time to time, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you're so angry about it that you're going to burn down the building. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, this is just politics. I realize that we run this political show, but it's just politics. When this show is over, Mike's going to still garden his tomatoes and do his thing with his soil and worms and etc. Okay, it's just politics. I mean, there's no need to come completely unglued. Mike, do you remember that thing with, what was the name of that guy? Mark Collier. Okay, so we're at this meeting and we're talking about the pros and cons of marijuana. Yeah, big deal. I don't use it. But I'm saying, well, here's some of the political ramifications of this in my personal opinion. Political ramifications, what can it mean? And tell them what Mark Collier did. This was fascinating.
Well, and to be honest, I don't have this picture memory like Dale does for events where he can tell you exactly what happened. All I can tell you about this is that the thing that set him off was Dale mentioned the Mark Goins incident, where Mark Goins suggested that if we somehow wanted to think for ourselves, we were in rebellion against God and lovers of Satan and whatever. And I don't know that Dale, I think Dale said exactly what Mark Goins had said in his sermon. And this guy, I mean, that set him off. I mean, he jumped up and flipped out and was saying he didn't say that or whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but that really set him off. And he just wasn't going to have any of it. And I think a lot of people, this is what happens when you drink Kool-Aid, and he had obviously drank Kool-Aid, and maybe he disagrees with what was said, but he's going to fall on his sword for his congregation or for his pastor. And,
I think that's okay if you're spirited in your defense. Of course, let's do that. Please, we want that. But when anyone tried to respond to him, he would shout them down. Hey, it's not good enough. And hey, okay, all right. Now, what do you have to say? Well, you're trying to speak, and I'm trying to speak over you. And hey, wait a minute. No, I'm not going to put up with this. And he stormed out of the room. What? Really? Stormed out of the room? Negated a vote, shouted people down, called people nervous Nancy's. I mean, really? These guys, what's your big problem? Just, if you're going to have opposition, great, please be spirited in it. But I mean, you have to go around to local businesses and say, take that sign out of your window, advocating for a certain person for county commissioner, because if you don't, I'll never shop here again. That's a little over the top, don't you think?
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's the fear with many people. I've been talking to a few people about, downtown vendors and, people on the street talking about the sales tax. People are fearful of fearful. Yes. They're fearful of how their opinion is going to be received by other people, especially their customers. And I understand that because, the business is their life and death. So they have to be very careful about how they move forward. I would just say, when you're fearful of the bully, you will always be cowering, and you will always be his
victim.
Yes, thank you. That's a nice way. I was going to say something a little bit more harsh.
No,
yes,
no.
with a B.
I
but so don't do it. Listen, you may agree or disagree with Donald Trump, but let me tell you the thing that is magnetic about what he's doing right now. He gives a strong response to people, and all they see is the strength. They don't see that he's totally whacked out of his mind on one particular thing that he's saying. They're not receiving that. All they see is the strength of what he's doing. So if you take your principles and hold strong to them, people will respect that. And then you don't need to shout people down.
And aren't we, I keep saying this in these shows, aren't we hardy Americans? Really? I mean, you can't even, this happened to me with, what's that guy that's head of IT now? I was asked if I wanted to speak at a meeting of SOS. Sure. And tell us your point of view. And I was in favor of that. Okay, now we're going to have Dale Matthews say the anti-Levy point of view. And they were, we really need to listen to that. And he said, yeah, really, we should listen. And one of the advantages, that even I said it, one of the advantages of you listening to this, because there were some people, I'm going to chew nails because he's going to speak. Listen, one of the advantages to you, I told him, was now you'll be able to hear some of the arguments from the other side, and then you can prepare and answer this, right? So this guy sees that I'm about to speak, and he gets up and he leaves the room rather than even listen to someone from the other side. What happened to Americans?
Yeah, well, and how well did that work out for them? They were unprepared to deal with the statistics, and I understand. And listen, they even made some attempts at manufacturing their own statistics.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well.
Yeah, that didn't, and they would hope that people would swallow those and not need to have any sort of independent verification of what they were saying. And no, they would listen. Nobody wants, if you're trying to get to an objective, nobody wants to have a hurdle to go over. Everybody wants it to be a smooth path to the goal, but it isn't always. And listen, for us on the anti-levy side, it's always a hill to climb every single time. But we've done it 10 times. And now this last season here, I think that, and listen, a lot of thanks to Bill Hunker and the group of grassroots people that joined in on that, because I think this was the best defense against it so far. And I think if they put up another one, they're going to lose by a bigger margin.
Yeah, but look, all the sheriff has to do, we talked to him specifically about this. We're not talking about him behind his back. All that he has to do is show the statistics that he's so sure are there. Just share them with us, and then he'll make his point, right? But instead, he laughed about it. This is going to make me look like I'm credible. Is that your point? Yeah, that's the point. That's what I said to him.
Well,
that's laughable.
Yeah, and that was kind of an answer to a question. I said, why, if you have these statistics, why don't you, and I'm assuming that you're going to make sure that you're on top of the statistics all the way through, so that at the end of this thing, you can have statistics that will prove your point.
Why would I need that? I'm the sheriff. Now, wait a minute.
Yes,
how has that been working out for you?
So far, we have the 2013 numbers, and they don't show what they want them to. In fact, the case is even a little bit worse.
Well, it's mostly worse because of OSP, Oregon State Police. They said, we're using an inordinate amount of the Oregon State Police. Why, they're coming in and rescuing our bacon all the time. It's bacon on a maple bar. And no, they're totally wrong about this.
Yes. And
it turned out that's a big lie.
Yeah, it's not true at all. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the 2014 numbers are. Now, there was a rise in property crimes in the city of Grants Pass, you know, the place that's fully funded and has a 4-minute response time, but not in the county. Not in the county. They actually had a lower rate out in the county. So,
well, now we've taken a little time to read this, and with Mike's
conventional
permission,
wisdom,
we're going to skip over the video that we were going to show that features me. Big deal. Okay, and you probably remember that.
because he never ever likes to do that. So now we're going to skip it because he doesn't want to be embarrassed by showing his own video.
Oh, geez. Okay, now show the video then. Okay, but the show's going to take an hour. Thanks a lot, Mike.
No. I take back what I said.
Look, the point is that I got up and I said something, a little bit of news about the hemp partners up there, the 2 county commissioners, and the state is investigating them because they used their position. It's perfectly okay. They can have any business that they want within some reasonable bounds, of course. No white slavery, thank you. And so they have this business, and as it turns out, the state is investigating them because they use their positions as county commissioners, whether this guy likes it or not. They use their positions to send an official letter to the state of Oregon saying, here's the official stand of grants we're in Grants Pass of Josephine County, saying, we want you to do this, and it helps line their own pockets. And that's not right, to use their position to do something that will profit them personally. And so what I did is I gave a list of the partners who were involved in Hempco, which is the name of the business in which Cheryl and her husband and Simon are involved with. And one of those people was Kit Doyle as well, and Jim Frick. Okay. And so, and one of the partners in all this, Cliff Thomason, has been regularly passing me information. Okay. Thanks, Cliff. So,
yeah. Cliff's gonna wake up with cement shoes on or something.
But what's so strange about that joke that he just said is there are some people who were just they're foaming at the mouth. I mean, you cannot let anybody from any other side speak. You've got to shout them down. You've got to kill them and their family and everyone they've ever known. I mean, it's like a Mexican drug cartel kind of reprisals. I mean, wait a minute. Let's just, simmer down. So you're going to see here, we've been telling you a lot about social media and the kind of news that we see there and the kind of streams of public opinion that we see. And so Mike and I are going to do the best that we can to tell you what's being said, what's being typed on social media. And so we're going to give you a nice little exercise in what happens with social media. I had just suggested that we play this video on there called "It's Just a Sad Way." This is a quote from Keithek. "It's just a sad way to have to deal with things to pump up your own miserable little life." And so in that video, Keithek said that I'm attacking the 2 commissioners for listing the names of their partners. And so what I said on August 6th is I said, who is being attacked here? Badcounty.com has revealed that Hare and Walker are business partners in a hemp farm and use their positions as commissioners to write an official county statement that would benefit their financial partnership. They are currently being investigated by the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, OGEC, for wrongdoing. How sensitive are they to all this? Merely mentioning the names of their partners in public nearly resulted in being thrown out of a county commissioners meeting.
And then Robert Coleman says, wow, they can tell you to leave the mic?
And then my comment to that was, that started with Simon Hare. He denied saying that Gil Gilbertson was padding his budget. He denied it. When I brought proof that he did say that, he cut the power rather than let anyone hear that. He said the proof was disruptive.
And then, so Diane Mackin says, yes, they can. The chair has the right to recognize someone to speak or not to speak. The Board of County Commissioners may also set the rules so that no one may speak at weekly business sessions. And she's saying that like she's in support of that. That is
Rika
unbelievable.
Brown is.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, then Diane Mackin says again here, Dale, do you have a link/evidence to the Department of Ag that has found the THC content to be too high in this hemp grow?
Now, just so that you know, no one answers Diane Mackin. I mean, in general, no one says anything. And you will see that throughout here, that Diane Mackin will ask a question and nobody answers. Okay, so Willie Neal says, sounds skunky. He's not talking about Diane. He's talking about this deal that the commissioners made.
Or, maybe some weed or something like that. So Lori Johansson, very interesting claim, Dale Matthews. I think it might have had more impact if you could also state your source for that information when you said it. I always try to do that. It helps avoid legal trouble as well. Since provable truth is a legal defense as well as publicly convincing. In any case, I appreciate your efforts.
Now, just as a side note, I never got a chance to say much more. I mean, I only said once I got to once I got to Jim Frick on the list, I was cut off. So I didn't get my 3 minutes. And I said back to Lori, no problem, Lori, that would be Cliff Thomason, one of their partners. This is like long pause here because, I mean, my gosh, this guy ought to know.
Right. And then Diane said, did Cliff tell you this personally? And let me ask you something. I mean, I hate to say this, but Dale, that's a pretty good question. Did he tell you that personally?
He did.
He did.
Yeah,
and he said, hey, Dale, I got something to tell you. The hemp that we're growing, the THC in it's too high.
Oh, you want to wait till people call us? I don't think so. No, I called him, of course. And I talk with Cliff on a fairly regular basis. I mean, some of the stuff he says is just verifiably insane. You can't say that it's 0.5% and in the same sentence say, no, it's going to be 15%. And that didn't make any sense. Cliff's an okay guy, except I just don't agree with him. He doesn't foam at the mouth when he says something. When Diane Mackin asked that question, nobody answered her. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to say, you got this information from Cliff Thomason. Did he tell you it personally?
Yeah,
really?
You know what? Listen, just to clear things up about Diane Mackin. Diane Mackin has a vendetta here. And,
yeah.
and she wants revenge. And what she would like to do is catch us doing something so she can rake us over the coals. And she's constantly trying to do that. And it really is getting tiresome. And it just really is. That's all I have to say about that.
Now, I had just said something about Simon Harris saying that it was disruptive to tell people to prove that he had actually said something which he had sworn in public he never did. And so Vikan Nikodian says, that's funny, Dale. It's not the first time I've seen a scoundrel try to squash documented evidence on the claim it is disruptive. LOL, laughing out loud.
Yes. Then Diane Mackin said, what documented evidence are you referring to, Vikan? And
nobody ever answers Diane.
Right. Well, yeah, I think she's on the wrong thread, clearly. Lori Johansson says, I have seen that a couple of times and have and always with a scam in the works. If the people in charge want to control the message and honest people are bringing up uncomfortable facts, the scammers in charge call it being disruptive, harmful to unit cohesion, unharmonious, or distracting. Yes, I think we've heard a few of those terms.
Yes, we have.
And then she goes on to say, declaring that speaking the truth is socially unacceptable is the last refuge when there is no other viable defense. How rude of you to tell the truth. For shame, you disruptive influence. Be gone.
Then I say, Lady Macbeth says, out, damn spot, out, I say. And then I say, perhaps she was referring to me as a dog. That explains out, damn spot.
Yes. And then Vikan laughs. Ha ha.
And then, since we're talking a little bit of Shakespeare here, I said, and this applies to all three county commissioners, upon what meat Thus, this our Caesar feed that he has grown so great. My man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about.
Yes. In other words, he's a fat pig.
No, he's a colossus. And then I say, we say
Well,
such. Well, I talk to Viken and I say we say such things to pump up our own miserable little lives. Viken, because that was the quote from Keith Heck.
yes. And then Diane Mackin jumps in. Wow. So much to evade answering a simple question or two. Dale, I really hope you run for county commissioner. Wow, she's rooting for you, Dale.
Then Larry Johansson, Mike.
Okay. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah, more classical references, whatever. It's not usually like that. Karen Day says, well, how reliable is badcounty.com? And then after a minute or so, she says, never mind, Dale Matthews. I found out for myself. Thank you. God bless you.
Yes, you dirty, rotten scoundrel, because badcounty.com is not to be relied upon at all.
Well, as Jan Ford says, it doesn't even exist. There is no website. There's no website. Listen to Jan Ford.
Okay. So, and Kit Doyle, Dale Matthews, have you seen the ODDS test? And then he comes back and says ODA. And then one of two tests from the ODA came back at 0.4. The UN standard is 0.3 to be hemp. The error rate on their outdated equipment is greater than 0.1 difference. All our third-party HPLC testing shows 0.1 THC. ODA is asking for funds to get better test equipment. Would be glad to make testing available to Dale Matthews if he'd come by the dispensary in Murphy. I think that's a good idea, actually.
So my answer to him is thank you for confirming our story. That makes two partners and a source close to the ODA. Not good enough for one of the denizens here, but a good start. What's your next step, Kit?
Your story, per usual, is not complete. It avoids reality. The ODA is embarrassed at their testing limitations. They're grateful that we pay for third-party testing that is accurate. High-performance liquid chromatography is the industry standard. They use gas chromatography, very lab tech error sensitive.
And I say the ODA is grateful to you. Well, thanks for clearing that up, Kit.
No problem, Dale. Let's make this a nice county rather than a welfare-ridden one. Jobs, jobs, jobs.
You know, I was being facetious, and he actually liked my statement, and then said no problem.
Yes,
the ODA is grateful to them. Come on.
I have no idea who these agencies are. It's just going to be another bureaucratic organization of the state government, probably. Diane Mackin says, so a 0.1 difference one time, and you basically accuse them of being drug dealers at a public meeting. Kit cleared up the inaccuracy of the test. He did. Are you going to apologize to all parts for insinuating they're drug dealers at a public meeting?
Yeah. Nobody answers Diane Mackin. Okay. So it's like another little clip here. Carolyn Zimmer says, wow, I just heard that Kit Doyle is also a partner in the hemp farm in Murphy. And
then Diane Mackin says, is this supposed to be a shocker, or am I missing some huge conspiracy here? Aren't the commissioners supposed to represent all the people of the county, including hemp growers? Here's the funny thing. They are the hemp growers.
Now, to be fair, aren't they representing people who would use their offices to line their own pockets in an excellent way?
Yes, of course. Okay, so Kit Doyle says, Carolyn, I believe last week I posted the link to orhempco.com and said directly to you that this was the company that I am a founding member. Crazy how when one wants to build a business to provide jobs and to move this county out of poverty, it becomes a negative to some. This is not about hemp being bad. It
No,
really,
it's not.
this is not about hemp being bad at all. This is about corruption in county government. This is about a conflict of interest. The commissioners intervening on their own behalf.
And
Okay.
taking an official stand of the county government in a way that's going to help line their own pockets.
Right. Please join us in fixing the welfare counties of Southern Oregon. Oh, yes, you want to do that. That's why you're doing this. You're such a great guy. Okay, I believe our president would exclude.
I don't believe.
I'm sorry. I don't believe our president would exclude any positive outcome people from participating. His contact is on the website. Okay. He's probably referring to Cliff Thomason there?
Oh, I always think so. Not the president of the United States.
Yes.
Well,
right.
well. So Kit Doyle was answering Carolyn. He's not even answering Diane Mackin, but he says, crazy how when one wants to just build a business and we're just trying to provide jobs. So I answer, it's just crazy when your business partners use their positions as commissioners to write an official county statement that would benefit your financial partnership.
Right. And then I said, and then here, this is me voicing my own line. Okay. Just so that you guys know that. Okay. That's funny. Including hemp growers. They are the hemp growers. Okay. And then Kit Doyle says, Dale Matthews, if a logger bought trees from a county commissioner, which wrote letters in support of timber legislation, would that be a conflict? Or if they farmed grass, hay, and voted for no pesticide spraying, or encourage the legislature to stop genetically modified organisms in the county, is that a conflict of interest? Dale, I think your time would be better suited helping the community rather than straining at a gnat to bring it down. Okay, that's and keep it in its welfare state.
That's my goal.
Yes, right, exactly. Yes, and you know what? We're making good progress there. You know, I think there's probably more people on welfare today than there was yesterday. Woohoo! Okay, and there are better ways to make a living than trying to make your county bad in order to get ad revenue. I said, ad revenue? Have you been holding out royalties, Dale?
Ad revenue. That's great.
And then I said, Kit, the point has nothing to do with support of local industry. It's that they are the local industry in question. Is there another company besides the company which the two commissioners are principals of in the hemp growing business in Josephine County?
Then I laughed, LOL. Another good piece of research, Kit. Imagine that one of your government, this is my favorite thing of the whole deal. Imagine that one of your government business partners is pulled over with the DUI level above 0.08%. The test shows he's only 0.01% above the legal limit. That doesn't mean anything at all, does it? By the way, the young lady sitting next to him will be 18 years old next month.
Yes. And Kit says, imagine, Dale, if this country became great and
county.
Oh, I'm sorry. The county became great and what that would look like. Your whole business model is based on its failure. There is nothing funny about that. Kit Doyle, Mike Jones, they are part of it. They are determined to see this county matter again. Oh, really? No, well, listen, that's not what this is about for them. This is about protecting their investment. And if you don't believe that, I am sorry to say you are stupid.
Hey, Mike, okay? Do we have a business model?
Yes. It's not very successful if we do have a business model. Unless, of course, you've been holding out some ad revenue for the show that I'm not aware of.
Oh, there was that lady.
For free. You're taking advantage of me, mister.
You know, what happens in this, just a little aside, what happens on this is you attract all these loons, like the lady that says that we don't have a website, or the lady that says, I know that someone's supporting you. No, now I'm going to find out who that is. And as we've said, once you find out, please tell us who is paying all of our bills. I think it's Mike and it's me, but maybe there's somebody else and we just don't realize it. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay.
Kit Doyle
They're determined. Yeah. They are determined to see this county matter again in the state of Oregon. Yes, that was read wrong, but anyway, they are determined to stick their necks out. Yes, they are, and take risk in order to bring prosperity to our failed county. Wow, this guy really has his head quite a ways up there, doesn't he?
I said, if we had real partners and county commissioners who were interested in honesty and economic development for anyone but their pals, badcounty.com would not be necessary.
Okay, here. All right, Dale Matthews, Oregon Hemp Company is not able to have access to those county funds. That would be a true conflict. So what are you implying? And I said, LOL, because I was laughing out loud.
What am I implying? So what I said is ask the state ethics commission.
And I said, and you're the other part. How convenient for you.
Hey, he was talking with Kit Doyle, not me.
Yes. Care to elaborate, Mike Jones? Are you applying something as well?
I love this line. I love this line. Say it. Yeah. No, not this one. Your answer.
Oh, you want me to skip then?
Oh, no. Go ahead. And first he answers me, and then he answers.
Yeah, he says, Dale Matthews, that would be more your type of time waster. Yes, I'm busy working to improve my county, not look at every blemish as a cancer. Oh yeah, that's what's going on. This guy, he said delusions here. Anyway, so I answered and I said, I'm not implying anything. I'm flat out saying it. Let's get something straight. You're not doing this for your health or anyone else's for that matter. This is a capitalistic venture. Nothing wrong with that, but don't BS us that it's about altruism.
Then now I'm going to say Kit's part because, sorry, this is taking a little while, because now it's between Kit and Mike. And so Kit Doyle says, Mike Jones, then you are flat out in error. What?
Mm-hmm. And I said, so you're saying the fact that the two commissioners are partners in your hemp business did not influence the writing of the letter to the legislature, because that would be a conflict. Please explain how it's not.
So Kit Doyle says, Mike Jones, did you read the letter? Do you know it was to stop a Buckley bill to not permit Southern Oregon counties to grow hemp? How is this a conflict? How is this a conflict? All of Southern Oregon would be affected if it was passed. Fortunately, it was defeated, which was not easy. After 3 readings in a caucus, and for 1 minute the ban, and then next handed Buckley his tie and said, "No way." If there was any conflict, in my opinion, it was Buckley trying to pit cannabis owners against other cannabis growers. This was a great victory for prosperity for Josephine County. It should be applauded, not nitpicked to death.
Whether it is good or bad is not in question. In my opinion, they would not have written the letter were they not intimately involved. How long before the letter were you partners with the commissioners? A week? A month? Was the Buckley bill on the horizon?
You'll never get an answer to this question. We've been asking
in
the background. When was this guy that was one of the contributors of Simon Harris' campaign and was involved really heavily in this whole thing out at the airport? And that would be, Mike, it would be.
What is that guy's name? Well, I was trying to think of the other guy. There's Jim Frick, of course.
Jim Frick. That's what I meant. And
then there's his other partner guy who we don't know if he's involved in this somehow, do we?
When did Jim Frick get involved? Because it's just a question. Was Jim Frick involved in this business with the commissioners? We don't know the answer. We're never going to be given the answer. But was he involved in this? one they were putting together in their business relationship when he was telling them that they should help him and his business start up at the Illinois Valley Airport. They're
Mm-hmm.
we're never going to know. They're never going to say. Okay, so Kit Doyle says, you're welcome to your opinion. Keith Heck is not involved. He signed it as well. There are real problems in this county. It's back to that. We've all decided to take the risk to build a business, even knowing it would and does have so much controversy. Alternative energy, crops, and medicines have been a passion of mine for over 20 years. If you ever meet someone that knows me, ask them why we do what we do.
And I said, right, Keith Heck and Cheryl Walker are pretty. Yeah, that's right. Yes, Mike Jones said, right, Keith Heck and Cheryl Walker are pretty tight. This board almost always votes as a block. So when did you partner up with Cheryl and Simon? I was trying to pump this guy for information, and he was not.
I love this answer.
He was not forthcoming.
Here's this answer from Kit Doyle. You'll have to check that with Cliff Thomason, our president. If I recall, we did not even have an EIN or Articles of Incorporations, but you can ask him to verify. Regardless, really? Ever started a business, Mike Jones, over try to pull strangers together for a common goal?
And I said, yes, saying, Mike Jones, yes, I have. I suspect the partnership with the commissioners is strategic for the mitigation of red tape. Good strategy, apparently.
Nice. Okay, so
yes, and that's basically most of it. It did go on a little bit further.
A little bit.
It's amazing how much time you can kill reiterating just what happened on one little Facebook string there.
Yeah. Now, why are we bringing this to you? Because we're trying to tear down our community, of course, and we're trying to blow out Cheryl's candles. I'm just trying to do this business, and you're trying to blow out my candle. No, that's not the reason why. It's because the reason you were being investigated by the state doesn't like to investigate people. The reason you're being investigated is because you used your positions in a way that would financially benefit you by claiming that the county is behind you.
And we're perfectly willing to let the ethics department investigate you and stand by whatever they come up with. I don't really expect much from them, but it's nice to see a little recognition every now and then that yeah, you're stepping over the line here.
I think that guy earlier was right. It's skunky. And we already know what the result's going to be from the State Ethics Commission. It's a fine, in a Shangri-La situation, a good time is had by all. Okay, we don't expect anything from the state. They're not coming to rescue us. But just keep in mind, the whole point of this show was, what was the point of this show? The whole point of this show was really about how there are people who just sort of come unglued. And wouldn't it be nice if we could just have what am I trying to say here? It's okay, I think, if you say, well, look, they probably shouldn't have done that.
Listen, I'll tell you what I'm taking away from this whole thing. Yeah. I think that it's good that it's presented to the most number of people exactly what took place here. We have our conclusion. We do have a bias that we're presenting this to you with, but it is the true information. And if you don't think it is, go check it out for yourself. These guys, Simon Hare and Cheryl Walker, are involved in the only hemp growing operation in existence in the county. When it became clear that there was going to be a bill that was going to exclude 3 Southern Oregon counties from the ability to grow hemp, they very quickly all got together and they pulled Keith Heck into this and said, hey, Keith, help us out here, man. And of course, he's going to do that. They're tight.
And well, they even said it was an emergency, right.
And they did it for their own benefit, in my opinion. But listen, how else do you explain what happened here? Kit Doyle seems to think, oh, well, this is just what you do when something's going on in your county. Oh, yeah, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people doing business in this county right now who would love to have the commissioners write a letter on their behalf when some regulation's coming down to squash them, which probably happens quite a bit, and they don't get any representation. And all of a sudden, these guys can be motivated to whip out an emergency bill, an emergency letter that no one else saw was coming.
No, no, not only that, but now I've been going to these meetings for about a decade. I can count the times that this has been done on a couple of fingers, okay? And that is, this was brought in after all public comment by Simon Hare as an emergency thing that needed to be talked about after anyone knew. I mean, nobody knew anything about it. And then the commissioner said, well, gee, that seems like a really good idea. No one could comment on it. They signed it out of the presence of the public, which they're not supposed to do either. And then they sent that off. It's a done deal. That's it. Now, even the procedure stinks. So don't tell me that, oh, well, we're doing this for altruistic reasons, and think of the people in the other counties. Oh, please.
Don't even buy into this. But hey, listen, I have a suggestion for the board. Why don't you get together and write a letter to the city council and tell them to back off on this sales tax that is going to hurt every small business owner in this town?
Well, I got a better one.
Why don't you do that?
It's good for you. How about if the three commissioners who have officially said they are taking no stand on the $2 bill, which would increase our taxes to $2, written by people who are already paying more than $2.
Right.
How about, now we already know that Dwight Ellis, who used to be the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, has said he's totally in favor of this. Oh, really, Dwight? What happened to your fiscal conservatism, Dwight? So why aren't the three commissioners saying anything about that? We don't want to take a position. You know why they don't want to take any position, because they're in favor of this.
Yes, and they are only advocates for their own position. They're only advocates for their own benefit. They're not advocates for your benefit. This is the problem that we have, and this is why we need to clean house, both in the commissioner's office and in county council and the clerk.
Don't you just hate it when people get so excited about something they begin to shout?